Matt Buzzy and Mike Williams. Previously, I liked the Xbox Series S because it was the only next-gen console that didn't look like a hideous, gigantic monstrosity. But now I like it because it has a lot of cool games coming to it. And we're going to talk about some of those games today. At their E3 show over the weekend on the Pop-Off, PC Mag's video game show, reminder. Let's talk about the most important thing that they announced at the show, the fact that Johnny Depp, Jack Sparrow himself, is coming to a famous Rare game, Thieves. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on this bombshell?
Putting as the most important thing of the show.
Yeah, that's what's been dominating my thoughts for the past 24 hours.
Best in show, Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it was interesting. I was like sitting here like watching the trailer, and it was just like, oh, hey, this sounds vaguely Pirates of the Caribbean. They're really leaning into that. And then Johnny Depp appeared, and I was like, oh, okay. All right. So,
it's actually Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, so they're just doing Pirates. And I was like, okay, then they probably just added Johnny Depp and maybe got some songs. And then it just kept going. And they were like, it's a narrative experience, which good for Sea of Thieves players. I mean,
Buzzy, would you with this topic or to change to something else immediately?
Yeah, it's definitely a Johnny Depp alike.
Okay, so we're keeping it going.
They're not gonna not make it look like him, is what I'm gonna say, but obviously not voiced like him. It'd be kind of nice if it stopped looking like him though, because I think we all just need to forget about him. And in the spirit of that, Starfield was also talked about. That was their big thing that was also accidentally shown 10 minutes before the presser went live, but
thanks for the Washington Post getting a sneak peek, and it went up on their site like 30 minutes ahead of time.
Oh, whatever. These are just commercials.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like a gameplay commercial or anything. It was just like,
you can only spoil so much. It wasn't like it was the announcement of the game existing. We knew it existed, so it was just
It's the release dates, I think, the big news there. The release date and the release date 2022, and the fact that it was confirmed that is exclusive on Xbox and PC, because this was also the first show since Microsoft bought Bethesda for billions of dollars and more consolidation. So you had Todd, famous Microsoft employee, Todd Howard, to talk about this new IP.
Let me say, again, for all of these games, especially with the Xbox and Bethesda games, Xbox exclusive. Everyone knows what that means. We all know that it means it's coming to Xbox consoles and PC. You don't need to say it every time. So if we say it's exclusive to Xbox, it's okay. We know it's coming to PC too. That's part of the point.
But it's an exclusive.
It's coming to Xbox Game Pass, which you can play on your iPhone.
Yeah, it was just confirmation of what people feared, expected when Microsoft bought Bethesda, that it would be, sorry, PlayStation gamers, if you're a console-only gamer, you are out of the loop if you're a PlayStation owner, which is unfortunate. Consolidation, not surprising though. But yeah, we saw some not gameplay footage. Sort of the first thing we got, other than the name of the game, sort of some like mood and setting, and also in the Washington Post's early look, they did talk to Todd and had some other info about like the style they're going for and like what they wanted to accomplish with kind of the game and the setting, and NASA punk as like their visual style. But yeah, we don't really know what you do in the game. It's a big RPG. We'll see. You go to planets. He said you'll get in a spaceship and you'll go places.
Yeah, and there's a couple of games like I'd say probably a good 30% of games at E3 that we've seen so far are like that, where it's just like a trailer that establishes the mood and gives us the name of the game, and that's it. Maybe a release date. Like there's another game in there, Contraband, which just shows like a garage with some loot in it. That is apparently from Avalanche Software, the Just Cause people. But you wouldn't have really like known a lot from the like. There's no indication of what type of game that was.
It said like co-op open world was like the two text things that splashed up, and it was like vaguely 70s themed.
Did it have like a heist going on? Did I imagine that?
That kind of
it might have been post heist, but it was just like the one section. And then their sort of their capper game was also the same way.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Redfall, which is Arcane Austin, some of the Dishonored folks, and it's going to be a solo or co-op game.
People got for these character designs and that pedigree and the general premise, but yeah, like as far as the actual being a game, that's
right.
a big question.
I couldn't even tell you what genre it is or what you do. Yeah,
and it definitely looks like it'll probably slot into the current mystifying Left 4 Dead zeitgeist, wherein we got Back for Blood, we got World War Z Aftermath. We have
Back for Blood.
Was it the Anacrusis?
The Anacrusis, yes. So there's like 5 or 6 games that are essentially just Left 4 Dead with a different setting, and Redfall so far has been the most popular one in terms of announcement, even though we didn't actually get to see it being played.
Yeah, a lot of companies were like, "Remember co-op?" All at once, they're like, "Yeah, you can play things against computer enemies."
Oh, Evil Dead also.
We're all just yearning for human connection these days, so we gotta get.
I was gonna say maybe it's COVID, but I'm sure these were all in the works long before then.
It's true. And like with Arcane, they're kind of known for their big story-driven kind of single-player immersive sim stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how those concepts translate into a multiplayer setting. I bet like just the powers and stuff like that could kind of move over pretty well. But
yeah, like they nailed the styles. Just like what type is it? First, like I live tweeted the whole thing, and the Redfall tweet was probably my most liked and retweeted one. But someone like asked me, is it first or third person? I was like, I don't know, because they didn't say.
Nope. The abilities look pretty cool, the different character abilities, if those translate to the game as they appear like they might based on the trailer. But yeah,
yeah, and someone was like, I said in the tweet, like solo or multiplayer, and they're like, solo, does that mean a campaign? I was like, they didn't even say solo in the trailer. Like that was something Phil Spencer said beforehand, and then the trailer started.
I don't know if it's Left 4 Dead style, or I don't know if it's a campaign that you can play through cooperatively, and then there's other multiplayer. No one knows. So
they have that for Xbox and PC, and they have Deathloop for PS5 and PC. So that's what kind of Arcane's up to these days.
I mean, yes, except now, like everything, like all of the others, they had Tokyo Ghostwire and Deathloop.
Yeah.
And we don't know what happened with Tokyo Ghostwire.
I thought that was the Evil Within people.
It is, but they're owned by Bethesda.
Right.
As well. That was the weird thing. Like they had announced Deathloop and Tokyo Ghostwire were PS5 exclusive, and then they got acquired by Microsoft, and everyone was like, question mark? And the answer is those games will still just be there on the PS5 as exclusives, but everything subsequent obviously will be.
Which is kind of funny that they have to release it and then also pretend that it didn't exist during the showcase, kind of.
But I mean, continuing on Bethesda, I was a little surprised we didn't see anything from Machine Games, whether it's just a little bit more on this Indiana Jones game, or I was expecting potentially like a new Wolfenstein. I thought it would have been the time for that.
Well, the interesting thing is, if you look at it, I mean, they announced a lot of stuff, and we'll get to it, but there are games that we know about that they just avoided talking about completely. Fable, Hellblade 2, Perfect Dark, Indiana Jones, Everwild. So that's
Avowed. Did they talk about that?
So that's like 6 games that they announced that we know they're making, but they felt, I guess, so confident that they didn't need it for this showcase, and
they were kind of right.
At it overall, they were actually pretty right.
Yeah,
I was going over my notes for the show, and I was looking through the list. I was like, there was a lot of stuff that they announced. So
Xbox kind of took a real beating last generation, but they just bought their way to having like the studios they need to like have their whole push with Game Pass of just being this like, we're gonna have a new game for you like every 3 months or whatever.
They're in a full
subscribe to this thing.
And then pushing everything to Game Pass, and it's a good like and to be clear, like it's not like Sony is not also somewhat doing this. Because on the side, if you go to gamesindustry.biz today, they have an interview with Herman Hulst, and they noted that what Sony has been doing is finding developers who have left major developers, started their own studios, and then signing those studios to make PlayStation exclusive games. So Jade Raymond, who was at Ubisoft and then EA, the guys that
And
they had,
at Google, that was the step there for her.
we don't talk about Stadia here.
That's true.
But you know, there's a couple of different studios that are just like, oh, these are the Blizzard guys. These are guys that used to work on COD. And as soon as they appear, those studios appear. Sony is just like PlayStation exclusive.
Headhunting on an extreme scale.
Right. And I mean, I'm sure it'll work out for them. Returnal from Housemarque worked out particularly well. And I don't think they actually own Housemarque. Housemarque just worked with them on the regular. So
yeah, they didn't own Insomniac for the longest time, only recently. So
right. So that's Sony's play. They're not outright buying them, but they might as well be. Whereas Microsoft is just like, we're Microsoft. We have the money to just go, you, and you. Yeah,
they saw Todd Howard. They wanted him. Who can blame them? And they got him. They took him.
And just make it all up in Game Pass subscriptions.
Or go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna segue that into Halo.
Same.
Wow.
All right, let's talk about Halo.
Like using their what has to be a sizable loss on Halo up to this point for Halo Infinite, the years and time that have gone into developing that game. Only Microsoft could take a hit like that and brush it off and make $15 a month essentially on it for it and every other game. Not even get direct sales in a lot of cases off that game after all the money they've invested. But it's probably going to work for them because they are Microsoft and they have the money to be like, yeah, whatever. Now Halo's out. Everyone come get Game Pass, you know?
I played all the Halo games or all the mainline Halo games for the first time earlier this year because they're just all on Game Pass to get ready for Halo Infinite, which infamously got delayed from the Xbox Series launch last year because it looked kind of bad, and they need Halo to be good. And we got a new look. It's coming out holiday 2021.
But not now. Note, Halo is holiday 2021. Starfield has a rock solid release date.
Even though it's in 2022.
Right. So will Halo hit that date? Maybe.
Or they just don't want to commit. That's all
they still didn't really show much of the campaign. As of when we're recording it, they've just done a 15-minute look at the multiplayer, which is technically somewhat separate because it's actually free to play. Like you can just download when it launches, you can download the multiplayer and just get into it.
I like the Warzone model there.
Just as an aside, Mike, are you wearing an Xbox shirt?
Yes. Okay. So and this is not favoritism for Xbox. I also have a Nintendo shirt and a PlayStation shirt that were supposed to be ready, but unfortunately Sony doesn't have a thing for E3, so I will wear the Nintendo shirt when we talk about Nintendo.
It's cool. Tony wore his PlayStation hat when we talk about Ratchet and Clank, so everyone gets represented. So back to Halo. Yeah, as you're saying, it's going to be the multiplayer is launching separately as a free-to-play thing. Do you think that could maybe be how they kind of get a little fuzzy with the release date? Like the multiplayer comes first and the campaign comes later?
Well, so they're supposed to do the campaign with the multiplayer, but I think the trick will maybe be like an episodic thing. Like here's the first part of the campaign. The question is how much they're going to charge for it if you don't play it on Game Pass, which is what they really want you to do.
Yeah.
Because like all of their other first-party games, it is going to Game Pass immediately.
Now, with rumors kind of this game being like an open world potentially, do you think it's like, here's the whole world, here's the whole like open world thing, but only like the first part of the story, and then they do episodes as like things
in the map. to
Yeah,
Yes.
Matt Morane's consistent, and also they talk about this game kind of maybe being a live service-ish thing, maybe, and maybe like that.
Well, I mean, they've literally said this. They're like, this is the next Halo for 10 years.
platform. Yeah.
Like, so this is what Halo is going to be, and like
A large part of that will be the multiplayer, to be
Right.
fair,
Yeah.
but the campaign, whatever it is, has to get something.
And like when they showed it before, like there were some dodgy textures. There was like the blink. It was honestly the brute face is blinking if you blink and you miss it.
It was not a big deal.
I had to slow down to
I
get
know.
it. Like some dodgy texture, but it looked like Halo. Like it literally just looked like open world Halo, which sure.
It's great. Master Chief is a cool guy. He
I
kills
did
aliens.
I did expect to see more of the campaign this time. Instead, they kind of
Did?
reverted back to the beginning in a way and gave us some actual like setup for the story with like a cutscene, which is also fine. But I even as someone who's kind of multiplayer focused, I was very curious to see what the campaign is, and now I still don't really have any more answers. They had a briefing last time they showed this before they had to delay it that I was on, and they had to be very vague because I don't think, especially after delaying it, that a lot of stuff was even nailed down yet about what they will do. They were like, you can kind of roam and get secrets and find things and discover. And I don't know if it's truly an open world where there's one big map and it's like Assassin's Creed. You can go get missions from, the government and then go carry them out like somewhere else on the map, or upgrade your armor, or upgrade, like get attached. I don't know. And like upgrade Master Chief like an RPG as you play. Because if it's an open world, it kind of has to have that stuff. And I don't know if quests and leveling lends itself to like Halo all that well.
Or
So
even just,
maybe
even like a modern Far Cry kind of structure. Because that's what's cool about the original Halo that really kind of I didn't appreciate until I played it, was that even that very first Halo, those maps are very open.
Yeah. There's not a lot in them really to do that isn't related to the, completing the mission.
But it feels like an actual.
Yeah, so I think that feels in line. That feels like the spirit of this franchise from
if it was
so
some
long.
Covenant outposts to go and clear, like Far Cry, like you said, that could be one avenue to make that game open.
Yeah. And speaking of multiplayer focus, so we also got a gameplay trailer for Battlefield 2042, which is boldly going a full-on $70 for a multiplayer only game. So
it begins.
Oh, I hate that.
How do you feel about that guy? Okay,
I hate that, but I'm also not a huge multiplayer shooter guy.
I am a huge multiplayer fan, and I think that's preposterous. I mean, in the past, those big prices, the $60 price, or even if they charge $40 for a campaign or for a multiplayer game only, a lot of people would say, well, the campaign, even if it's 12 hours, justifies a lot of work and cutscenes and acting and dialogue and voiceovers and stuff that helps get you to a $60 price. If now that's all in there just for multiplayer and the price is going up, you look at all these games that are completely free to play and you can play for hundreds of hours for no cost, and then you're going to turn around to Battlefield and pay $70 just to play like I'll keep playing Apex for free, not pay $70 to play Battlefield multiplayer. I don't know. That's a really big ask.
It just really matters to me a lot that a game still be able to offer something, even if there's no one else in the equation but me. Like, even if the game just has bots, I'll be like, okay, that's at least something.
Halo look at bots. That's what we learned from the multiplayer. There's bots in the training range from that multiplayer stream.
But even just look like Titanfall 1, Titanfall 2. Like Titanfall 2, that campaign is incredible, and I bought that game just to play that campaign, which is not very long, but still great.
But it's worth it. Yeah, and I'm definitely one of those people. Like, I understand why like the campaign is prohibitively expensive and hard to make, and people tend to be down on it. But that's all I play of most of these shooters. Like, I don't play multiplayer, even on PC. Like in most online games these days, the time to veterans is very short. So like Guilty Gear Strive, literally, I just got it. I'm sure if I jump online now and do random matchmaking, I'm going to be matched with someone who is far better than I am.
Fighting games are insane.
Right.
Yeah.
So and in shooters, that's the dude that's just like flying over you, like switching to like a knife throwing the knife in the back of your skull, and then like landing and you're dead. You're dead and done. So I tend to do campaigns. So it's very odd for me. And then also they already did this and it didn't work out. It was Battlefront didn't have a campaign, and part of the selling point for
That's
Battlefront
right.
2
You're
was
right. It
having a
didn't.
campaign.
Yeah. That campaign. Meanwhile,
It's something to, even if it's not, it doesn't even have to be. It doesn't even have to be like amazing or very long.
It could just be like a glorified tutorial.
Yeah, it like grounds you. It grounds you to the game. It makes it feel just like there's something more meaty to it that kind of grounds the game and kind of gives you an entry point. And I don't know. Yeah, it just feels like they should exist. It especially should exist if you're charging $10 more than
and then Call of Duty is going to come for you with a campaign,
you know they're going to have
and Warzone and whatever hooks into Warzone that's already there, which is free.
Now, though, I do think Game Pass changes this value proposition a little bit, in that it comes with your subscription. I don't think that Battlefield's coming to the Game Pass day one. I don't think that's the case. But you know, EA Play is a part of Game Pass, so you know you will get that eventually, probably. So.
What's the other major gameplay one? Was Forza Horizon 5.
Everyone's just stealing my segues. We're all vibing here.
I was going to go to the same one. We're all on the same page.
Yep. Now, I'm currently working on a story that argues that these are the best racing games we can settle for right now because we're not making any new burnouts. But Forza Horizon is great. It's not. It's removed from this sterile sim racing world of mainline Forza. It's a lot more accessible. Has its focus on these awesome open world locations, and this time you're going to Mexico, and it looks great.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised it's already on the way. 4 wasn't that long ago, and by all accounts is still successful.
They updated 4 a lot for like the series. They almost like launched as like a launch title.
Maybe they're done, but I felt like that game still had probably another year of legs.
So what they were doing is Turn 10 and Playground with Motorsport and Horizon, they were alternating. So Horizon would come every 2 years, and Motorsport would be the one. So they would go each year, like one back. And then they threw it off last year because everyone was kind of confused. This last year could have been Horizon. And then they announced Motorsport again. So my guess is probably like Horizon was mostly done, but they didn't want to show it off until it was done.
Yeah.
So
I guess it's been a minute since 4, but it feels like that game isn't ready to be.
But it kept going.
It doesn't has a successor yet. Is being made obsolete kind of early, and I feel like with car games that does kind of happen, especially because sometimes the cars disappear from the game due to licenses.
What if they were all fake? What if they were all fake brands and you could just demolish them?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I do
make
really
a racing game like that.
I do really like the Horizon games. I do think I would love to be able to interact with the world itself more. It's like they always look great and they're fun to drive through, but other than like a couple like the speed trap challenges or jumping through a poster or something, I don't know what it would be in a game where you are just racing and driving your car, but there's something. I wish the world was more interactable and
so it sounds like you want a Cars the movie game, a Disney.
Yeah, I wish they would talk.
Cars.
They don't talk enough. The cars.
The cars need more character arcs.
But Burnout is great because you can have fun just crashing into stuff.
Right.
Unfortunately, to do that because then you just stop. That's it.
I was waiting. Like I feel like Motorsport and Horizon will eventually go that long-term live service. I like Motorsport can probably do it much easier, but like Horizon, just being able to be like, okay, here's Mexico, and next year we'll add Japan, and both maps will live in the same game, and the year after that we'll add, Scotland and
But now we're bringing back Australia from 3, putting it back in.
We're bringing back Australia.
Right. So I feel like that's coming. It'll probably come to Motorsport first, in that Motorsport has discrete maps already.
Yeah. That also feels like something that's easier to justify with Game Pass existing, because like you don't need to sell this new game every time.
Yeah, you just need to keep subscribers subscribed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And instead of having, build up your different car rosters or lose cars, like I'm not going to have Dom's Charger from Fast and the Furious unless they do another relicense.
You can have Fast and Furious in Rocket League though, so.
Yeah,
That's Fast Furious game. It's better than that one that they made. So yeah, Forza, that's coming out this holiday. I guess those are kind of the big things. I'm just looking at this list again here. Some sequels.
Outer Wilds.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah,
Outer Worlds
2, Psychonauts 2, and Stalker 2. Those are all
Age of Empires 4.
Yeah.
And then some of the smaller ones that looked interesting. Aiden Chronicle, which we had already heard of before, which is essentially the Suikoden people doing Suikoden that they own. Replaced, which looks like that was this new 2D
Octopath style,
like almost flashback or out of this world Prince of Persia style game, where your character is sort of walking in different environments and then sort of leaping in a almost slow and cumbersome way. Plague Tale got a sequel.
Flight Sim coming to consoles, or
Yep.
They put a date on that.
Yeah, which they announced is 4K 30 frames per second, and people were like, "How dare you?" As if PCs can run Microsoft Flight Simulator any better. Like one of the first replies is like, "My PC could crunch that." Yeah, what do you got? Like a 3090?
Yeah.
See, I'm getting my dander up. Never mind.
You're getting heated about Flight Sim. It's a
right.
It's a tranquil game. It's
We're expecting too much from these $300 boxes.
Yeah, this thing, I can just hold it. It's just this.
Yeah.
It's just a box.
It's almost as high as my graphics card. Like, come on now.
Right. Yeah. So, 4K 30 frames per second. It'll be fine, guys. If you and again, it's free. It's on Game Pass. You can download it and play it whenever.
Mm-hmm.
You can
I'll also
play
say,
it mobile.
Related to Halo there, the game looked it looked better this time because you're making fun of the brute face. And the textures and stuff, there was less pop in, and I think it overall looked better. The multiplayer preview showed today, it looked a little simplified and very readable, and I think that is because they are targeting 120 FPS on console, which I think is a great thing to aim for. I don't know if that'll get some people upset that the textures and effects aren't like top level, but I think for a game like that, multiplayer, you want it to run really, really smoothly. And Flight Sim, I want it to look really, really good. So those are two.
It's almost as if it's different. There are different aesthetic goals. It's not just all math.
Yeah. And Halo also, like, it looks like Halo multiplayer. Like, and again, like Halo Infinite, it's just like, oh, they all look like Halo. Like, that's all you have to do. You have to nail Halo. And like,
after getting away from looking like Halo for the last couple, this one does. And but there's also a grappling hook, so you never know.
That AI lady had the clothes on. That's a big change.
Oh, that probably. Oh, Twitch chat's like, clothes.
Where am I gonna?
But can you see her feet? we don't know. Like,
they talked about a lot of support things in this. Not to go back to Halo too much. They talked about a lot of again, making it a platform, support features like Battle Pass, but you don't have to, you buy the Battle Pass once and you keep it forever. They're not going to be loot boxes for the cosmetics. There's all this Spartan armor customization and prosthetics, and you can customize which AI voice you have in your suit for multiplayer, and all this
and see,
stuff.
my problem is like all that looked really good. I want all that armor customization in the campaign.
Yeah, you're probably just going to be good old Master Chief.
Like green Master Chief is fine, but if I can be like pink camo Master Chief, that brings it to another level for me.
Oh man, imagine he's like in the cutscenes like that and everything. Just
exactly. Exactly. There's nothing
really
better
going
than
through
playing like Final Fantasy 14 in like a full raid cutscene where they'll show the entire party.
Mm-hmm.
And like you'll have like two people who look like they live in a fantasy world, and then like one person that is wearing like assless chaps and like a big ass hat, and then another person with like a frog. Like that's the magic.
That's the dream.
Well, you know, I mean, they in these new Mortal Kombat games, you can now play as a blue scorpion if you want to. So, you know, never count it out.
Yeah.
Anything else from Microsoft that we kind of want to just get here?
There were a couple indies that I guess are Xbox exclusive, or at least they showed them. They're probably coming to Game Pass. That looked really cool. One we've seen before was 12 Minutes, which has like a stacked Hollywood cast. It's like James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, Willem Dafoe, with like a time loop thing, and that was really cool. One that looked really, really, really cool visually was Replaced.
Yeah.
That was like also kind of the Octopath thing, but a little more different style of this pixel art, but with extremely realistic lighting. And it looked really neat. I guess it's like a 2D kind of side scroller and action. Not clear what all of the gameplay is like, but all the cutscenes and things they showed looks really visually very cool.
Psychonauts 2 looked good. Slime Rancher 2. Shredders. I'm a big snowboard fan.
You're a big video game snowboard fan.
Video game snowboard fan. Yes, as I said at a previous meeting, I will not do it in real life, but in video games, let's go every single day.
That's so true for so many video game activities.
Right. And then Grounded, they announced a new update for where the selling point is a bigger spider, which is no.
Which no thank you.
Yeah, Age of Empires 4. So I'm really excited for that. I'm like sim RTS fan. Yeah, let's go.
Same. I think some of those traditional RTSs have lost me a bit that are just an RTS. I feel like the game plays out very similarly often, and I hope there's something that kind of differentiates it, because I got over the years, that's what I played growing up a lot. And now when I go back to one of those style of games, it feels a little simplistic compared to your Total Wars and your Civs and your other options of a little bit more depth. Whereas the RTS, you turtle, you survive, and then you build up a giant force and you roll the computer.
Over, yeah.
Yeah. So I hope there's something a little more varied to it. It is cool to just play as these historical factions and stuff, so that's fun in and of itself. But
and then they ended the entire thing with probably the biggest announcement, and that's the Xbox mini fridge is real,
right?
And you can get one. Why?
Finally.
Because it's an Xbox.
Gamers got to eat. You can't eat video games.
Because Microsoft again can make that as a joke, make that a reality.
Right.
So, as we all know, Microsoft last generation, they did not have it. For a variety of reasons.
One other quick thing. For all consoles, everybody wins because Hades is coming to not Switch and not.
That's PC. Right. It is.
Which I once they said that, I was like, oh yeah, it isn't on the other consoles. So
nope.
I hope Game of the Year, one of the best games of all time, in my opinion. I hope everybody.
Yeah. Hades again, like you, it was there, and I was like, Hades. Oh, this must be a new content update for Hades.
Yeah.
And it was like, Hades is coming to Xbox. I was like, wait, it wasn't on Xbox already? Like I was already playing it on PC and Switch, but I guess
I completely forgot. So that's if you don't have a PC, you don't have a Switch, that's a lot of people who can play for the first time. So I hope people enjoy that.
Yeah, enjoy
PlayStation also, I believe.
Yeah. So
new generation, new clean start for Microsoft. It looks like they're going into it strong. They have a lot of games. Again, like you were saying earlier, a lot of games we know about also that they did not talk about here coming in the future. So I think that's all pretty exciting. This industry is desperate for more competition from all sides.
Yeah, I think this generation, Microsoft was best poised to be this service company. That's what they're good at, software services, things like that. And the technology kind of had to catch up to them being able to make a good on all that, but now we're kind of here. So
yeah. And Sony is still throwing out its haymakers, but I think Microsoft is in a much better place to start delivering its own quality premium titles, and then Game Pass is just absurd, just from a value perspective. It's absurd. Like we spent years talking about the Netflix of games, and
it's here.
Yeah,
it's here. All right, well, that's Microsoft, but obviously there's still the entire rest of E3 to get through. We're going to keep watching, keep having takes, keep analyzing, and we'll have more videos about it here at the Pop Off, so stay tuned for those. But in the meantime, Mike and Matt, thanks for joining me.
We will see you next time.
Here.
See you next time.